challenging norms in their own way.
Really needed to find a way to express myself. I was always drawn by doing performing arts, and I was taking some acting classes.
A fresh take on content creation.
So we started a lot with comedy, with sketches, and we really started with sketches that were literally the jokes that we would make with our friends.
NewsX influencer A-list proudly recognizes Giulia Raffaello for culture-based content creation.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX Influencer A-List. I'm Marcy Krishnan. With me, I have Giulia Raffaello, who's a very interesting content creator. Now, she talks about Indian culture and she portrays it on her page. Now, let's hear from Giulia Raffaello herself. Giulia, tell us a little bit about yourself and the kind of content you create.
Yes. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to speak to you, Aarti. I started this journey of content creation roughly 3 years ago, and it was because, I was doing my full-time job in HR, but I really needed to find a way to express myself. I was always drawn by doing performing arts, and I was taking some acting classes. So I was trying to find a creative outlet for myself. And my now husband, Shrey, was actually the one telling me you should start being in front of the camera because of your personality, because of your energy. And that's how we started. And since the beginning, we decided that there was a specific topic we wanted to talk about, and that was our intercultural relationship. So I'm from Italy originally. We both live in Germany, in Berlin. That's where we met. Shrey is from India. So there have been a lot of different, let's say, hiccups or things that we could have taken for granted in a relationship from two people from the same cultures, but we didn't in our own. So we decided to share it with the world in a really funny way. So we started a lot with comedy, with sketches, and we really started with sketches that were literally the jokes that we would make with our friends, because both Shrey and I are really funny. We make a lot of jokes with friends. So we basically translated that into our first sketch, and then we started from there creating content. And it started picking up quite soon, and it became viral, even the first video, quite soon. And I think that was because already back then, and still now it's growing, there is a lot of need, and there is a lot of attention around how do you balance two cultures together, people that come from two different continents, even in our case. And there have been a lot of people that have reached out to us since the beginning, telling us we are also an intercultural couple, and we are inspired by you, by the way you really respect each other's cultures. And from there we started. And then eventually we brought the topic more in a less on a comedy way, I would say. We still have done some sketches until some months ago. And we basically decided to bring our audience along with our story, with our travel, meeting our family, and trying each other's food. Yeah, and that's where we are right now.
That's beautiful, Giulia. Now, something interesting that you brought up was a lot of people reaching out to you, saying that they're also intercultural couple, and they want to talk about it, or they're inspired by you. So do you think that the conversation of representation also arises at this point where, you don't see a lot of intercultural couples that on in movies, whether be it Hollywood or elsewhere, in local movies or series on Netflix or any other platform, for instance, you don't see a lot of intercultural relationships being portrayed. Now, do you think there's an issue of representation that is the question here?
Yeah, I don't know if it's an issue, but definitely there is a need. There is definitely a need because, even for myself, when I started meeting Shrey and I started dating with him, I was trying to think about people that I know, even among my friends in my family circle that were in an intercultural relationship. And already back then, I didn't have any. I'm actually the first one in my family, in my friends circle. And then from there, I started looking at, yes, as you said, Bollywood couples or couples that are more well-known, and they were missing, they were not there. So it's, of course, really difficult for a couple that is an intercultural relationship to find role models or to find people they can be inspired or look up to, they can ask questions, because you can't operate an intercultural relationship the same way you would operate a normal a relationship of the same culture. So there are things, as I said, that maybe not in the same culture, a relationship you would take for granted, where in an intercultural relationship, you really have to talk about literally everything, because you don't know what the other person has gone through, how the person has grown up, what were the values, what are the things that maybe they might offend them, and you don't know, right? Because there is a lot to be uncovered at the beginning and still in the process right now. So definitely there is a need to see successful and happy intercultural marriages and relationships. There are more right now, I have to say. When we started, there were just a few on YouTube, and now there are lots of them. I'm actually quite happy to say that a lot of them also started because they got inspired by us, and they also wrote us, and they keep on contacting us, and we're really happy about it, because I think there is definitely the need to talk about it and to uncover some of the stereotypes, or to uncover some of the issues that might come along. And I think a lot of the people that contact us, they go through the first phase of, how do I tell my family? How do I get my family to accept this relationship on both sides, not just on the Indian side, but also on the European side, right? So I try my best to reply to as many of them. We do a lot of Q&A about that. I also have brought my family, or we have brought Shay's family, to be able, to show that it's possible. And we're really happy to see how many people get inspired by this, and they thank us because, they feel better. They are uplifted that there is, there are some couples out there. So.
Absolutely. And I think it's a beautiful point you brought about the fact that when a couple come together and they are rising from two different cultures, even if it is within the same continent or within the same culture, there are a lot of subcultures within India itself, and as I'm sure is there in Europe as well, right? But when you talk about, like you said, you take the smaller things for granted, and you see a lot of these, like you said, influencers or content creators who come from different cultural backgrounds. When they're together, they're making content that is humorous, which then shifts the entire conversation of cultural difference, and then normalizes it, right? And then makes it easier to talk about, because you're then bringing humor into it rather than creating a taboo around it. Where then you don't know how exactly to approach a conversation because it might offend a large amount of people. So how have you sort of navigated that part of your content creation and then woven humor into it?
I think there is a lot that comes with, as a content creator, with your personality. So with my personality, I'm quite a lighthearted person. I'm really bubbly. I always like to smile and to laugh at things. So I don't take myself too seriously. And I do take life seriously, of course, when needed. But I do like to bring a bubbly and light vibe in the content that we create with Shrey. So that has been always the common pattern that we wanted to have in every piece of content that we create. So we always looked for the lighter version of a story that we wanted to tell, or of a little problem that we were facing. When people ask me, like, what is the biggest cultural clash that you had with Shrey? I didn't have a cultural clash with Shrey. But if there is one thing that we always discuss about, is the food, is how to season the food, because in Europe and in Italy, we really use like probably three things. That's like olive oil, salt, and pepper. And of course, it's like then Shrey, with his background, and I love spices myself too, but can't have red chili. So we have done a lot of content around that, right? Around him making fun of my way of cooking because it's completely bland and without any taste, or about me crying and feeling that I'm like dying because I'm having a lot of spicy food, and a lot of people have connected with that. And that's exactly how we try to navigate it. We try not to, go too on a heavy side, still keep some deep conversations, right? There is still the topic of accepting each other in this comedy sketches, but we try to make it fun. We try to make it light. We try to not take each other seriously, so we laugh at each other. And then we have a lot of interactions from people whenever we bring out that content. There was recent video that I made, there was a really difficult thing for me to learn, was to learn all the different names for the relatives, nana, nani, dada, dadi, mosa, mosi, all of this. It was really difficult because in Europe, in Italian, there is only one word for uncle and one word for auntie, and that's about it, right? And I decided to make it a really funny sketch in saying how much it takes me to actually learn and how much I still get it wrong. When I meet the standard family, actually met it recently, I was still asking Shay, so this is Mosi, right? Yes, okay. So I try always to make fun of these things in a light way, and then people always catch it. Probably because they also know us, so they know that we always come with the best intention, and they also know that I really want to learn and that I deeply love India. So I always felt connected to the culture even before meeting Shay. So I think this is like a good mix for navigating this world and the topic of intercultural relationships. Yes.
Giulia, of course, no matter how big an effort you make online, right, to bring humor into it, to display your love between both of you as individuals, keeping apart what cultures you come from, there is always an aspect that is dark, that is looming in the digital world, especially social media. So when you post your content on social media, I'm sure you would have come across at least a few comments of either racism or the other way around, saying that the content you are posting related to Indian culture is then cultural appropriation. So how do you deal with that, and what would you say to similar content creators, or not only content creators, intercultural couples who face this sort of dilemma from society? So whether if and to ensure that they don't internalize it then because it's coming from all around them.
Yeah, I have to be extremely honest. The 99% of the people that interact with our content are extremely positive and extremely happy with our content, and they really like connect with us. So again, I feel really lucky and I'm really grateful for that. But nevertheless, there is 1%, of course, where I haven't received a lot of comments around cultural appropriation. I think, in a way, people see how much I deeply love India, how much I love, for example, all the cultural aspects of it, from wearing all the outfits, from doing all the rituals with mom. So it has happened probably only once, right? And I did ask myself a lot of questions, of course, because it's a topic around there. The lucky thing about being in an intercultural relationship is that in that case, you have your partner that is from that culture and that can really rationalize with you whether something can become offensive, whether something is not something to touch in your content, or whether it is cultural appropriation or not. I also have a family there, I have friends. So it is good to double check with people when you're not 100% sure. But how to get out of this fear and worry, I would say, if you are authentic in front of the camera, if you are your true self, whichever piece of content you're gonna put, people will connect with you. And even if they're gonna sometimes disagree with your content, because it has happened that people have disagreed with my content, but they have written a really nice message, they were really polite, they gave me critical feedback in a really constructive way, and I was really thankful and I welcomed that feedback. And the next time I didn't maybe touch that topic, or I did it differently. So it's all about how you are in front of the camera, not pretending to be someone else, sharing also your difficult times, of course, sharing your happy times. A lot of times I receive people telling me, Giulia, you're always happy, you're always bubbly. It's a choice that I make to share when I'm in a good mood, which is most of the times. But I do not share literally everything. And I do also choose what to share when things are not all happy and unicorns and rainbows. So I think the core advice that I will give here is to really be authentic, because the community, whether that's on Instagram or any platform, really can catch your personality. What if you deeply love something, whether that is like even like a product sponsorship or not, people understand what you're doing. Like, don't treat your community as people that can get easily tricked because they can't. They're humans. They understand whether you're really convinced or not about something. So yeah, once you're authentic and you have good intentions deep inside, eventually people will get it. And even if you've done a mistake, they will write your message in a polite way. And that is what happened to me. Nevertheless, I am aware that other people went through different things. So I always
Right.
hope, and I'm always grateful to have positive support from my community. But yeah,
Right.
that's what.
On that hopeful note, Julia, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your journey, sharing your story with us. And more power to you and all the best.
Thank you so much, Aarti. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.